Now, welcome to another Let's Talk Some Bad Batch, where this time it is episode 11 of Season 2, Metamorphosis. So if you haven't seen it yet, don't want anything ruined, click away and come back after you have seen it. So once again, let's begin with your ever so brief review of this episode.
I liked this episode quite a bit. I liked that they picked up the missing Clone Wars arc. I'm going to say missing because it felt like it was missing because it seemed like a really important piece of information to know. Palpatine decided to keep the Xylo Beast.
Well, we get to learn what he does with it. We kind of do see that he keeps it, but now we figure out why. A little bit. Well, he kind of does say in that episode, like, he wants to study it for armor plating for the clones, which seems like, is that really what he wants it for? I mean, I'm sure he's interested in the armor plating, but does he care about the clones?
Plating, yes. We know that much. We don't know what he plans to use the plating for, but he does want the plating.
Yeah, I think he's very interested in the creature for many reasons.
We also got to see more of how terrifying the Empire is. The fact that they rounded up all of those citizens, and you're like, well, guess there's no witnesses now.
Yeah, that's, I think some comments might bring this up, but that's very dark. I mean, maybe kids don't exactly understand what that all means, but certainly us adults get what being dealt with and being rounded up and put into a ship means. I mean, that's some hardcore stuff, really.
And we saw Omega be afraid, with the childlike fear of something, which is healthy.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know if it's healthy to be terrified all the time, but it's healthy to know fear. Yes. Yes.
To show that she's not just the greatest and not afraid of anything. She can be afraid.
Well, she also shows anger in this episode with Sid. This was another good... It was a really good Omega episode. I don't think I mentioned it in my review, but it's a good Omega episode because she wasn't that, I'm just going to be front and center and either the cause of all our problems or solve all our problems. I'm going to be there and I'm going to be a character in a show. Mm-hmm. Good job. But anyway, let's get on to some comments now, starting with the top-rated one as usual.
All right, this comment's from Jason Motzinger. Loved to see the Xylo Beast. It seemed during the Clone Wars that they just forgot.
Yeah, it was just kind of an episode that happened, or 2 episodes, actually. It's a 2-part arc. Yeah. And then, that was it.
Oh, that was all.
Yeah, and you got to see it, and Palpatine alluded to doing something with it, and, well, here it is again. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to go there.
Also, it was interesting the way it was attracted to electricity, that it helped it grow at an exponential rate. Could this be a part of the new design for the creature? To take out civilizations by eating their power, or just because now we can get it really big, really fast, and harvest its armor sooner.
That's interesting. You increase the armor plating, so it can't be easily brought down. You drop it onto a planet, it seeks out the power source, and kind of neutralizes your enemy's, power.
Yep.
It's a fun theory.
Mayhem and destruction along the way.
Yeah. But yeah, it was great to see it back. I like when the show picks up little threads from Clone Wars.
I just hope they don't just leave the Xylo Beast arc. Again. And that we actually get to see that going forward, maybe.
10 years from now, we'll get an update.
No, not 10 years. They need to do something about it now. I mean, they're contacting Echo and Rex about it, so maybe they're going to follow through with this. Who can say?
I hope so. I hope it's not, again, just left to the wayside for another decade or so. I mean, I guess I think a lot of us never expected it back to begin with, so this was, again, a pleasant surprise.
Absolutely. Next comment is from Marshall Gaunt. I really loved Omega's reaction to Tech saying the Xylo ate the crew. You can definitely see the emotion in the animation.
It's the fear.
The fear. She clutches her weapon. She kind of shrugs down.
They ate the crew?
They ate, yes.
Yeah, it ate the crew. It was funny because as soon as the episode started, you were thinking the episode was going to be Omega, like, the creature's just misunderstood and it's hurt and it's scared and we're going to have to protect it.
I did. I thought for sure that they're going to have to protect the creature because, oh no, the Empire's using it and it's just scared like little Mochi was.
Yes. That's a pretty good Omega voice. That's exactly what you said. And I'm like, I don't know about this one. And then I love Tech saying that too, and everybody's like, dude, you don't say that in front of the kid.
And she's like, what?
Yeah, what?
It did what?
Yeah.
No, that was great that she showed fear, that she should be afraid that something that's on the ship with you
is going to eat
the
you.
Crew.
Yes.
True alien fashion.
Yeah, a good Omega episode. And I'm not saying she can't ever be the hero or, the damsel in distress that gets the crew into trouble and needs a rescue. I think once again, we're kind of setting up Omega being the target with Nalase. Obviously, we've got Lama Su is going to tell on Nalase that Omega is important. So here comes the Empire after Omega again. So
But
yeah, I
Omega
just...
should be dead. The clones
Sure.
are dead.
Yes.
If Rampart covered it up the way he was supposed to, she shouldn't even be a factor.
Well, sure, but we all know that's unraveling now.
Yes, but Rampart did cover it up.
Yeah.
So as far as they know, she's not in the picture.
But they will...
Is this
I'm
going to be
assuming,
a plot hole? Is this going to be...
I don't think so. I think they're just going to figure it out. I don't know plot. I wouldn't call it a plot. We'll see, right? We don't know how it all unravels quite yet, but it looks like it's unraveling and it's all... I mean, they've seen the Bad Batch's ship now, the Marauder.
That's true. They did see a ship there. If they trace it back, they can figure out who's been running around.
Yeah.
Not to mention other clones saw the Bad Batch
trying
to steal from the war chest. Sorry, it's not just that one clone who wanted to put it in the report and Rampart silenced him. A whole bunch of clones saw it.
Yeah. So it's I don't think it's any kind of plot hole or anything. They're going to figure out that there was a cover-up.
Mm-hmm. Which will point right at Crosshair.
Yeah, well,
he's the one who didn't admit that he knew they were alive.
Yeah, well, some people think Crosshair is going to be sent after them again, even though he does kind of lie about it. Or maybe this is the break. They're like going to go to Crosshair and be like, dude, you lied. We can't trust you, and now we're going to have to put you down or something along those lines. And then he takes off and meets back up with his friends. I don't know. A lot of different ways it can go, which is why I'm pretty excited right now for the Bad Batch.
All right, next comment's coming from Seth Grasser. Honestly, I have come to really love the Bad Batch. Once you look past the kids show aspect in the filler episodes, the show is a deep reflection of what the clones are going through. I enjoyed this episode and was definitely better than the Mandalorian season premiere.
Yeah, we talked about it a little in the opening. It goes dark.
Yes, it does.
It's not afraid to... It's like it reminds me of the Clone Wars, where the Clone Wars, you sometimes watch and go, God, this feels like a kid's show, just a straight up kid's show. And then the next thing you know, heads are being cut off and dark things are happening. Yeah. The show is the same thing. You'll have one episode where you're like, oh my goodness, this feels like just this fun kind of frivolous episode meant for kids. And then Crosshair is executing people, or they're rounding up citizens and carting them away. And
yes.
It can swing so one way or the other, given, any given moment, basically.
Yeah. The next comment comes from Lum Vaughn. Glad to see threads from the Clone Wars carried forward. The music and CGI lighting and ambience of this episode were outstanding and probably the best I've seen in this style of animation. This was the truest Bad Batch episode of the season and reminded me of the best from Season 1. In a March Madness battle of Star Wars shows, the Bad Batch Season 2 Episode 11 defeated Mandalorian Season 3 Episode 1 with superior storyline and focus.
I agree.
I think a lot of the Star Wars fans, the real fans who watch both of these shows, would agree with that statement.
Ooh, the real, so you have to watch both shows.
Sorry,
I know,
shouldn't
I'm
say
catching
the
you
real, but
I know what
the
you
Star
mean,
Wars
yes.
fans who watch both of these, I would say.
The more
should
hardcore,
admit.
I watch everything, I get into everything, yes. Because I think that's the crowd mainly who watches The Bad Batch, right? I don't think the more casual fan... I know many fans of Star Wars, quote-unquote, who love Star Wars. They say they love it, and I'm like, so what'd you think of Clone Wars? Oh, I won't watch Clone Wars. It's like, wait, what?
That kid show? You're like,
just give it a chance. Like,
give it a chance.
I don't want to watch the cartoon, quote-unquote, but just give it a chance, and I think everybody I've convinced to give it a chance always loves it, so... Mm-hmm. But yeah, I agree. The animation style has come a long way in the last 15 years. And I think this was a really good balanced episode. It had the Bad Batch in it and was really good.
Yeah.
Like, they were kind of the focus of the episode, but it had tidbits of other things.
Yeah, it progressed the story of the Xylo Beast. It progressed the story of what the Empire is up to, the cloning. We went back to that planet that we haven't seen in a while there.
Tantus, I believe, Mount Tantus, yeah.
We saw that at the very end of last season. We see what happens with Nalase. We're seeing what happens with Prime Minister Lama Su. It's interesting that we're actually starting to look like carry things forward. Things from last season that were left unfinished. Mount Tantus is something we could even see coming up in Mandalorian. Why not? It's the cloning facility.
Yeah, that's
why
where they've moved
send
the
Dr.
project.
Pershing there?
Yep. I would be stunned if we don't see Mount Tantus in Mandalorian, or
Unless
alluded to, or at the very least.
Unless they destroy it in Bad Batch.
Maybe. But I would be shocked if there's not connections between Mandalorian and Bad Batch with all the cloning stuff. But yeah, I agree. A perfect episode in a lot of ways, because it blended so many different aspects together and didn't feel disjointed or jarring to be kind of bouncing back and forth between these things. And my only complaint would be just make it a little longer. Give us another 5-10 minutes to really flesh out all these different storylines. But, that's the nature of these shows, 20 minutes long.
Next comment from Garrett. This episode answered a question that's been on my mind for 13 years. What did Palpatine do with the dead Xylo Beast? Now we know he had it cloned. I'm really interested to see what else the Empire is working on in cloning. This episode set up a fantastic storyline for the rest of the season with Dr. Hemlock.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Dr. Hemlock being brought into this. I could see him being a connection to Mandalorian as well.
Mm-hmm. Why not? He could know Dr. Pershing. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a young Dr. Pershing on scene.
Yeah, at first I thought, is that? No, I was like, wow, the age is way off. Pershing would be pretty young at this point, really young. But at first I thought, oh, they're going to connect. Like, look at that. And then, not exactly, but I'm still thinking.
Oh, we could even just have Pershing later going, I got these notes out of Hemlock's work or something.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
My work with Dr. Hemlock or something back in the day, he was I was kind of his apprentice. I learned a lot from him.
You could just easily name drop it and all of us would go, ooh.
Yes.
Sometimes I want to do that.
And that might be all the connection is between the two. It might not be some big elaborate plot as much as it'll be a simple name drop. Or, like I said, I think you go to Mount Tantus in The Mandalorian at some point.
As long as they don't destroy it before that.
You stop saying that.
I'm just saying when Rex goes to do a job, things get done.
Okay. If Rex is sent there, if Rex and Echo go to Mount Tantus, it's going to be blown up. So don't send them.
I do hope we see more of the Republic Commandos as well.
Yes.
I'm going to keep calling them Republic Commandos, but
I know. I did
Imperial Commandos now.
I did that in my review yesterday. I had to go back and edit something because I think I called them Republic Commandos a couple times, and I'm just going to cut that because I don't want to deal with the comments saying, hey, they're not Republic Commandos anymore, Thor.
The Commandos.
Technically Imperial Commandos at this point.
Mm-hmm. But it's interesting that all of them are rounded up at the cloning facility as well.
That's where they all are, it seems. I mean, they got nothing but Republic Commando. I just did it again.
They have nothing but commandos
They have nothing but clone commandos there, which implies the security is very tight here.
Very, very tight.
Yes.
They have the best that they could get aside from getting the Bad Batch.
Well, yeah. Well, not the best, but the second best. But I see a Scorch encounter with the Bad Batch on the near horizon again here.
Next comment from Sharik Hassan. This season also humanized Kaminoans very much. Both the Senator and Nala Se used to be portrayed as stoic individuals. Nala Se was pretty rational and cold-hearted during the Fives arc from the Clone Wars Season 6, but now she sounds depressed and sad after the Empire destroyed Kamino and her people.
Yeah, it was good to see emotion out of them because they've always felt kind of aloof and detached and cold and just scientific mind and, a logical mind, and that's all they ever are.
Mm-hmm. But what makes me sad is that I thought Prime Minister Lamasu would be smarter. He immediately, rolled with the information.
Yeah, well...
He knows how this new empire works. He knows what they did to Kamino.
Yeah.
And yet he's going to trust them. Yeah, of course they'll keep their word, and I'll be safe if I give all this information on Nala Se's pet project.
I guess that's his only hope, right? Because he does...
That's all he's got.
Yeah, because he knows they have no qualms about killing him, right? They blew up his entire planet, so they've been keeping him in a cell. Probably nobody knows he's alive, so it's his only play, I guess. I mean, I get your point. He trusted them really quick,
yeah.
What are you going to do at that point?
I guess he's got no other hope.
He doesn't. That's the only hope he ever has of maybe being freed ever again is to play ball and pretend he's, for the Empire now, even though you killed all my people.
Oh. Next comment comes from Solo. Sid certainly doesn't have a heart of gold, but we have seen that she has a soft spot for at least Omega, if not the rest of the batch. I think she does go through with the betrayal, feels bad, then tries to make it right.
Yeah, I mentioned in my review that I think there's a good chance that Sid is the one who turns them into the Empire. Now that we know the Empire is looking for them again, she seems to be well connected. So if the Empire puts some little feelers out there looking for Marauder, Bad Batch crew, could she turn on them?
Oh yeah, if there's enough money involved, because she seems desperate.
She does seem desperate. They've set up the fact that she seems to be broke and that the Bad Batch keeps failing her. That's been a very common theme this season. I send you guys on missions, you don't come back with the goods. I gotta do what I gotta do.
Right.
And I think the only thing that stops her potentially stops her, is Omega. Does she not betray Omega? Or does she?
Seeing Omega on the wanted poster might be a little hard for her.
Might, but might not. I don't know. She's not.
The change of heart thing, it's a kid's show, I guess you could say. They want you
Yes.
to think of that anyway. So she's going to have second thoughts or cold feet and either try to alert Rex about it or something.
Could be. I don't know. I
At
don't know
least
what's
warn them that they're coming at the last minute.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give them credit. As I said before, I don't really know how this is all going to play out. I think it could go multiple different ways. I think it could go anything from Sid just cold-heartedly betraying them and I got my money, see you guys, to the Heart of Gold, where maybe she does betray them but changes her mind and saves them and sacrifices herself. Who knows? A lot of different ways it could go.
Next comment from C. Mac. I think it's possible that the Xylo Beast armor is going to be used in the Dark Trooper initiative.
Yeah, that was a good thought, too.
That's a very interesting thought. I like that.
Yeah, well, at first we know they do mention that they perfected the Dark Trooper when they got rid of the person in the armor, and it's now just that. So it could be that initially they thought, well, we'll get some special suits of armor, and those will be our Dark Troopers, and they're based off Xylo Beast armor tech, if you will. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's a solid possibility.
Yeah,
That maybe...
I'm very interested in what they're using or plan to use the scales for. They might never get a chance to use them.
Yeah, it could be that's all it is. It's just Dark Trooper initiative kind of stuff, and it's not anything kind of bigger and grander with cloning and Palpatine and everything else. I don't know. Again, interested to see where it goes.
Next comment is from Tucker's Baby. The only disappointment I had was not hearing Scorch's original voice.
Yeah, I think that's done to keep consistency with the other clones and everything. I understand that complaint, don't get me wrong, but I mainly think they don't want to confuse... Because a lot of people have no idea who Scorch is, right? A lot of people never played Republic Commando, so...
I don't think they called him that at all in the episode either.
No, but they have confirmed that it is Scorch, that it is Delta... Because we do see Delta Squad in Clone Wars. They are already canon, so nothing wrong here with, bringing them back.
It's just a little sad to hear that they fell victim to Order 66.
Well, sure. But most clones did. Mm-hmm. It was really the Bad Batch and their awkward creation, whatever you want to call it. But they're not normal clones.
To it, yes.
Except for Crosshair, apparently. Probably likes following orders and killing people, so he was all for it.
He's the one who said that, no, it didn't work on me. I just was tired of you guys.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both there. But no, I do think the main reason they did it is not to confuse people. They didn't want to use a different voice. And
people were like, why does that clone sound weird?
Yeah, or is he a clone at all? Mm-hmm. Are these new things entirely? No, they're just former Republic Commandos.
Yes, because not everyone might remember. The only Republic Commando we've seen before this is Gregor.
Yeah, Gregor and...
Well, we saw Delta Squad, yes, before, but...
I've seen them, but I don't think we've ever heard another... Until Bad Batch, because they are in the previous season as well. I don't think we've ever really seen too much in the way of Republic Commandos, other than Gregor. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just consistency, didn't want to confuse people.
Next comment is from Frog Eater. Really hope we get a third season of The Bad Batch. This comment goes along with Ben Quadraneros. I hope they continue on a streak after this. I think the show is on the cusp of becoming a Star Wars classic. Just needs a great series of episodes back to back.
Yeah, if this finishes on a strong note. I mean, I still want a season 3. We haven't heard any confirmation. We don't know how this season even ends, so it could be designed to be the end of the series for all we know. And even the last 2 episodes, none of the early reviewers have seen, so we have no way. Yeah, thank goodness indeed, because I don't want this ruined. But so we have no idea how it ends. Do I want a season 3? Absolutely. I feel like this episode in particular was the magic formula. If they can do more episodes like this one, it's a phenomenal episode. Mm-hmm. So they know, and there's been other phenomenal episodes too. So they know how to make the series great, and I do want to see it continue as long as that's, the game plan.
And if I'm not mistaken, next week should be the Crosshair episode.
Yes. From what I have heard from people who have seen, the episodes early, this is the exceptional Crosshair episode.
Well, D. Bradley Baker said his favorite episode of the season was a Crosshair episode about 3/4 of the way through.
So here we are.
Here we are. Next week should be phenomenal. Give us a great Mando and give us a great Bad Batch, and we'll be happy campers for a week.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be...
Maybe longer.
Maybe longer even. But no, it'll be interesting to see who wins next week. Because I feel like if you're watching both, if you're a fan of both, I think Bad Batch took the week for most people. So it'll be interesting to see if we get another phenomenal Bad Batch with Crosshair, and Mando turns out really good. What's the winner next week? All right, well, that is going to be all we got for this time. So now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you thought of this episode of The Bad Batch, and tell us if the winner was Bad Batch or The Mandalorian this week. Whatever the case may be, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.